Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be watching a Think School video. This time he is going to be talking about the impact, potentially, of Donald Trump's presidential victory over in India. So Think School, of course, is a fantastic channel. Don't know why I'm not subscribed. Please subscribe to the channel. I don't know why I wasn't subscribed on this account. I watch my videos on a separate account from what I normally do stuff on. But yeah, anyways, Donald Trump's shocking impact on India, geopolitical case study, released 13 days ago. So I believe this was right after the election victory. So yeah, very, very, very interesting. We're going to go ahead and watch this. If you want to watch the video directly, the link will be down in the description below. And you know what? Just from thinking about it ahead of time, I think he's going to say a lot of positive things about this. From my experience, Donald Trump is very well liked in the vast majority of the world, including India. Since he is more of a business-minded individual, I think Think School will say a lot more positive things about him. So yeah, we'll go ahead and give it a watch, yeah?
Kamala!
Kamala, you're fired.
Kamala! You're fired! Get out of here! You're fired!
You're fired, Kamala.
Claiming the what?
You know what's kind of crazy? Ever since the election, like, I have not seen or heard of Kamala Harris, like, whatsoever in the news, which is kind of crazy if you think about it, because she's still the standing vice president. You would think you would see something, but literally nothing, like not a peep out of her.
House.
The winner of the 2024 presidential election.
Hey, look what happened. Donald Trump officially wins the race for president.
The outcome of this election is not what we wanted.
It's what the majority of Americans wanted. He did get not only did he get the electoral vote win, but he also got the popular vote as well.
Gentlemen, give it up for the greatest capitalist in the history.
Donald Trump.
I will say I'm excited for some of the candidates that he's chosen. Like I'm looking forward to. So he nominated like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to be part of the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, and essentially what their job is to go through the government and to cut up and clean and get rid of redundancies. And I think there is a lot of redundancies in the U.S. government. So I'm looking forward to that.
Will be the 47th president of the United States.
Hi everybody. 4 years after being impeached for his role in a violent attack on Congress, 5
January
months
6th,
after
yeah.
being convicted for a felony in New York, and just 3 months after surviving an assassination attempt.
He survived 3 assassination attempts, by the way. There was this one, there was the one on the golf course, and it also recently came out that there was an Iranian-backed assassination attempt that happened.
Donald Trump is now back at the White House as the President of the United States of America. And let me tell you that while this is big news for America, it is about to shake the markets of India. Now that Donald Trump is in power, he is about to again reverse the policies that Biden reversed in his tenure after Trump's tenure. And
Yeah.
if you've seen Think School's case studies, you would know that America is so crucial for the world that they say that if America sneezes, the entire world catches cold. And to understand the impact of Donald Trump on India, we are referring to this Philip Capital report, which talks about how.
I know it's late to say because we're already a couple seconds in, but I was thinking, okay, I should have said, well, if America sneezes, the world catches a cold. But I was like, well, actually, that's China. But you know what? Then I was like, you know what? Maybe that's a little insensitive. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to say it anyways, even though it's a few seconds past. And then I'm like, okay, I got to explain why I'm saying it so late. But anyways,
Donald Trump will impact everything in India, from H-1B visas to the Indian IT industry, to defense, to pharma, to auto, to solar, and to even the geopolitical war between Russia and Ukraine. So in this episode today, let's do a fast-track overview on how will Trump's policies affect India, which sectors of India will be positively affected, which sectors of India will be negatively affected, and most importantly, how will it change the position of India in the geopolitics
I'm
of the
really interested to
21st century.
see what he has to say, like what from like an Indian perspective on how Trump will affect them. Disclaimer. Oh. The views and opinions expressed in this program are... I'm getting old, man. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speaker and do not reflect the views or position of any entity. The case study notes are prepared purely for educational information purposes. The cases are not intended to serve as a endorsement, source of primary data, or to show an effective or inefficient handling of decision or business processes. Viewers are advised to exercise their own discretion and judgment when interpreting and using information presented. The content of this video is not intended to substitute professional advice or guidance. The content presented in this video is intended for informational purposes only. The creators, producers, and distributors of this content want to make it clear that no copyright or intellectual property infringement is intended. All materials used in this video have been sourced from publicly available information open access platforms or are used under the fair use doctrine for commentary, criticism, reporting, and educational purposes. We have made efforts to give proper credit to the original creators and copyright holders whenever possible. So there we go.
But before we move on, I want to quickly
ad
thank
time.
the partners
Okay.
of today's episode, which is Build School. People,
Build
today,
School?
AI isn't just a tool for the tech savvy, it's reshaping industries, influencing public opinion, and driving change on a global scale. But what if AI could do
Interesting.
more than just keeping you informed? What if AI could empower you to build something meaningful and to help you create income streams? All of this could be done without writing
How?
a single line of code. Meet Vatsal. He started with no tech background, no coding skills, and just big ideas. And today, he's earning over $100,000 a year with products like Audio Notes and Visualize AI. And these aren't just side projects, they've given him the freedom to work on his own terms outside of the 9-to-5 grind. And now, he's opening the door for others to do the same. For the first 1000 Think School viewers, Vatsal is offering free access to the exclusive masterclass where he will walk you through how to brainstorm powerful AI-driven ideas, how to use no-code tools to build your product without a single line of code, and how to find users and start earning from your product. Vatsal has already helped over 1000
Interesting.
people, and this masterclass will equip you with a straightforward roadmap and help you turn ideas into income. So don't let your ideas just stay ideas. Click the link in the description.
I've never really been a big fan of
and
these
take
like
the first step
masterclass
towards
like
building your
courses and
own
stuff,
AI
but
success story.
they could work for some people.
Firstly, let's talk about geopolitics because Trump is very radical about Russia, China, and India.
We're going to have a great relationship, but it's got to be a fair relationship. China was taking advantage of the country. I actually looked at some deals.
I
I'd
agree.
say nobody could be so stupid to sign a deal that's so one-sided.
Let's start with Russia. Donald Trump has repeatedly promised to end the Russia-Ukraine war. He says he will broker a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine and he would demilitarize Russian-occupied Ukrainian territories.
If I was president, there would not have been a war with Russia in Ukraine. Zero chance. I would have a peace deal negotiated within 24 hours. Your strength would have never happened.
Well, I mean, already he's talked with Zelensky, and he has word from Putin that they're both willing to come to an end of the war. And at the same time, Biden just allowed Ukraine to use American long-range missiles to attack Russian territory. So who knows what's going to happen?
So guess what? If this happens, India will face less pressure from the West, and by chance, if Trump lifts the sanctions on Russia, then Russian oil will enter the world economy, oil prices will go down, wheat prices will go down due to Russia being the biggest supplier of wheat in the world, and
True.
several other Russian commodities will bring down the prices due to the increase in supply in the world.
Yeah, if the war ends, the price of, yeah, like you said, wheat, oil will go down all across the world, which is just beneficial for everybody. But that's if the war ends.
World economy. And this will help us curb inflation in India. And just like Russia, Trump's view on China is also very clear. Donald Trump absolutely hates China.
I agree with Trump on this one. I should say, I hate the Chinese government, the CCP. I hate the Chinese government. I like Chinese people. I hate the Chinese government. Um, yeah, we'll just keep going.
And this hate is about to reignite one of the biggest trade wars in world history, which is the US China trade war.
Well, I mean, China takes advantage of a lot of loopholes to be able to facilitate trade at a lower cost. Like they're able to ship their stuff to more places because they're like classified as like a third world like growing economy. So they get like a deferred amount of like costs when it comes to actual shipping costs. So it ends up being cheaper to ship something from China across the Pacific Ocean to the US than it is to, mail, a letter to your friend a state over. It's weird.
President-elect has promised to slap 60% tariffs on all Chinese imported goods.
China's leaders will likely be bracing for a ratcheting up of the trade war with the US under a second Trump administration.
As it turns out, Donald Trump plans to slap a massive 60% tariff on Chinese imports. On top of that, Trump also wants to snatch China's golden trading status called the most favored nation. And here's where there is a big opportunity for India. Let me explain.
If China starts getting these tariffs and limitations set upon them, that opens up the market for India to come in and fill in that gap that China had, that iron fist that China had on exporting and whatnot.
Explain how. For those who don't know, MFN or Most Favored Nation is a status in trading, which means all countries in the MFN list will get the same treatment when it comes to trade. For example, if China and India both have MFN status with the United States, if the US lowers the tariffs on Chinese steel by 20%, it must also lower the tariffs on Indian steel by 20%
I didn't know
to
this.
keep it fair. But if a country
I didn't know this at
loses
all.
its MFN status, US can and will increase taxes on Chinese goods without increasing it on Indian goods. And this
Okay.
means India has three massive advantages. Number one, India can tap into this huge gap to increase its exports to the US. Secondly, the US-China trade war and China's exclusion from the MFN status will accelerate the relocation of manufacturing plants, assembly lines, and supply chains all the way from China to India. And this will help us create jobs in India. And lastly, India will be able to leverage this newfound status to forge deeper economic and diplomatic ties with the Western powers.
I'm fans of all three of these. Hopefully it happens.
So, our influence in the world
That was
trade
weird.
will economic and diplomatic ties with the Western powers. So,
Just
our influence in
Okay.
the world trade
Alright.
will increase. Secondly, the impact that Trump will have on the IT industry of India will be very significant. According to this Business Standard article, Indian IT service industry exports 54% of their output to the United States. And now, due to Trump, they could face some serious challenges because of Trump's anti-immigration stance.
what is this? Let me go back here really quick. Hold on.
Now, due to Trump, they could face some serious
IT prima face. What is it? Impact seems harsher if Trump wins, given his anti-immigration stance. However, Indian IT companies have tried to de-risk this challenge by hiring more locals in on-site markets, relying on subcontractors, and opening more nearshore deliveries for the IT. Likely sector. Okay, so automobiles under Trump, demand for EV components from India suppliers will be impacted in the short term, but this could be pushed for adoption of hybrid vehicles, cushioning the overall impact of medium tech. Why would there be? Oh, I see. I'm misreading that. Okay, so he's the demand for EV components. Yeah, because he is working with Elon Musk and yeah, he did say that there's going to be a push for electric vehicles in the U.S. Okay. While both candidates want to lower the cost of energy, Harris got support in renewables and Trump favors fossil fuels. Defense, both Harris and Trump are expected to focus on Indo-Pacific region, where India's role as counterbalance to China is vital. Harris is expected to maintain the Biden administration emphasis on deeper defense cooperation, while Trump's approach may be more transactional, centered on arms sales and strategic gains.
challenges because of Trump's anti-immigration stance.
I will stop the invasion of criminals coming into our country. Today, our cities are flooded with illegal aliens. Americans are being squeezed out of the labor force.
He's not anti-immigration, he's anti-illegal alien. And there is a very big distinction, because you can become an immigrant and enter the country legally. You can seek asylum legally. What Trump and a lot of Republicans and a lot of Democrats as well do not like is the huge influx of illegal aliens in the US, and how it's so easy for them to enter into our territory. And that goes for like both sides as well. There was actually a report that I was reading about, it was a couple years ago, where a Indian family actually froze to death entering from Canada into the US illegally. And I believe there was, I need to go back and read that article. But yeah, there was like some smuggling ring where they were taking Indian families through the cold, frozen lands of like Wyoming or something. Is crazy.
And their jobs are taken. And it's true. They're destroying the blood of our country. That's what they're doing.
Long story short, Trump wants to make it very difficult for foreign students and professionals to get visas to study and work in the US. And the reason is pretty simple. He wants to give those jobs to the US citizens. So all companies like TCS, Wipro and Infosys, they might have to take a hit because they'll have to hire talent in the US and not send Indians. And that will make it very, very costly for them. And
Yeah, the cost would go up by quite a bit.
it's not something that is happening for the first time. This has happened before as well. Look at this. In 2016, the denial rate for H-1B visa was just 10%. But after Trump took office, by 2018, it peaked to 24%. So with Trump back in office, we might see more rejections for the H-1B visas. And this means three things for India.
You know what? There might even be a higher rejection rate just based off of how more hard pressed they will be on controlling the borders. Because they did say they want to go on full on, like make it essentially a war where they're getting rid of the illegal aliens. And if there's such a hard emphasis on that, then I would imagine that it'll probably be a higher rate than 24% of denial. Without a shadow of the doubt, I believe that might be the case, because they'll try to control and mitigate and understand who exactly is coming into the country.
Number one, less opportunity for Indians in the US unless they're super talented. Number two, great opportunity for India because more Indian engineers will stay back
True.
in India.
You have less brain drain from the country in of itself, where all like your top elites in their departments or their education, they'll stay in the country.
And lastly, if you're an incompetent engineer in India, then life will be very tough because India will have better engineers. If this is very, very clear to you, let's move on to the next sector, which is pharmaceuticals. People, the United States is super duper important for the Indian pharma industry because US literally accounts for 31% of Indian pharma exports.
I didn't know that.
Now, Trump has something that could impact our companies. Trump's stance on pharma is that he wants to reduce the prices of drugs in America. And did you know that Americans are charged twice as compared to other countries for the exact same drug? In fact, patients in the US are forced to spend 5 times more on a common breast cancer medication than patients in other countries. This is primarily said to happen due to lobbying, whereby companies come together to purposefully increase the price together so that all companies can increase their margins. And
yeah, Trump wants to come through and like clean this up and make things legitimately cheaper for the US citizens.
This is causing a big pain for American patients. But now Trump wants to change this. In fact, in his last tenure, Trump capped insulin costs for many senior citizens at just $35 a month. Now, you might think, how is this going to impact the Indian pharma industry? Well, as it turns out, Indian companies primarily survived in the US due to the high cost of the American companies, because of which they could sell generic drugs at low cost. But now, if all companies have to reduce their price, then Indian pharma companies will see their margins reduce. The next sector that will take a hit is the automobile sector.
As an American, I don't see that. I understand that's going to, mean less money goes back to India, but as an American, I just simply see that as a win for us.
To tell you about it, US is India's biggest market for auto components, and it made
Wow.
up 27% of our exports.
I didn't know this either. I thought it was wow. That's funny. I thought actually I thought Mexico was going to be a lot higher on the list as well. That's interesting. Brazil's higher than Mexico? I thought the top 3 was going to be like Germany, Mexico, and the UK, but oh no. Oh wait, this is India. Oh my God. I'm dumb. Top destinations for India's auto component. Okay, so India, they send the components to the United States. I completely read this as like this is where the Americans get their car components. I'm pretty sure like Mexico gets the US gets most of its car components from Mexico. But yeah, I don't have, a list for that, but it's interesting to see that India sends 27% of their components to the US.
In FY24. But as it turns out, Donald Trump supports fossil fuels and he is not pro EVs.
On day
I
one,
mean,
I will-
he is to an extent. Now, see, this is from March 2nd. This is before he got the endorsement from Elon Musk and before Musk joined his cabinet. So I think his new stance on EVs is that he's pushing it. He wants to lower regulations on electric vehicles and allow them to basically he wants Elon Musk's Tesla company to explode and get everywhere. Weird terminology, I know. He wants it to expand is the word I was looking for. And he wants like the self-driving vehicle, electric vehicles, stuff like that. He wants that to increase in the US, and that is mostly because Elon Musk is like his right-hand man now. It's very weird.
terminate Crooked Joe's ridiculous electric vehicle mandate. If you want to drive down to the store to buy clothing, or if you want to do something.
Now, see this again. The January 6th. This is before he became buddy with Elon Musk.
Locally, it's fun. But these cars don't go very far.
Now I know this is quite
Again, all that those examples were before he became friends with Elon Musk.
surprising because Elon Musk himself endorsed Trump.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, Trump is expected to cut subsidies on EVs for both customers and manufacturers. And this will again slow down EV sales in the US.
I don't think that's going to be the case. I from what I've seen, he's going to expand. He's lowering regulations on it to make it easier to produce and to sell and to set up like self-driving automation.
Have a short-term impact on Indian auto component players who export their components to US.
This is going to be a benefit actually. The India is going to be able to send more components to the US.
One example is Sona BLW, which has an 80% order book dependent on EVs. Secondly, because of Trump's America First policy, he wants to stop manufacturing components in countries like China and Mexico, and he wants to bring back manufacturing into the United States. And this might again hamper our auto export industry. Thirdly, Trump has promised to boost infrastructure spending for transportation. And if this happens, we could see a jump in demand for these Class 8 trucks. And here's where companies like Bharat Forge and RK Forging will benefit, because they provide key parts for heavy-duty trucks to America. At the same time, if the administration follows through on massive infrastructure projects, the demand for steel could surge, which will again benefit Indian companies that export steel to the United States. So in short, for auto, while Trump's strong stance against climate change in EVs may initially hurt our EV component suppliers, his trade war with China could really open new doors in the hybrid, heavy truck segments and even IC engine market for India. If this is very, very clear to you, let's come to the solar industry of India. Now, like I already said, Trump can now increase the import tariffs up to 60% or even higher on Chinese goods. And this means Indian components will soon become cheaper in the US market. And this will again benefit companies like Vari Energies, whose 67% revenue is coming from the United States itself. We've made a complete case study on Vari Energies, and you must check it out from the link in the description. Moving on, there is one more impact that Trump will have on the Indian market, and that are higher loan rates in India. But the question
Loan
is,
rates?
how is that possible? Well, that is because analysts say that if Trump suddenly imposes tariffs on imported goods in the US, it would cause inflation in the US. And to counter this inflation, the Feds might increase their interest rates. And when the Feds in the US increase their interest rates, it means even RBI might not be able to lower its interest rates in India. As in, RBI will also start charging higher interest rates to HDFC like banks, who will then charge more interest rates to customers like you and me. And if the interest
Interesting.
rates go up, the loans will get more expensive and the Indian economy will slow down due to less consumption. And again, we've made a detailed case study on these repo rates and their impact on the Indian economy, and you can find the video from the link in the description. So in summary, H1B visas will get tougher to get, Russia will benefit, oil prices may come down if Russian oil is back in the market, steel companies will benefit due to infra growth, solar companies will benefit due to US-China trade war, auto component exporters will benefit due to infrastructure growth in the US, EV component companies may suffer a setback due to Trump being anti-EV, Indian exporters who can compete with Chinese prices will benefit due to the US-China trade war, Indian pharma companies may see their margins decrease, and lastly, if inflation happens in the US, which leads to interest hikes, it might result into more interest rates here in India, which will eventually increase our loan rates. Eventually, our consumption in the economy will slow down. This is how Trump might affect India in the near future. And I'm attaching the complete report of Phillip Capital in the description so that you can read through all other details that I haven't covered in this episode. And I just hope you learned something valuable from this case study. That's all from my side for today, guys. If you learned something valuable, please make sure to hit the like button in order to make YouTube Baba happy. And for more such insightful business and political case studies, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.
Okay, well, there we go. Yeah, interesting little perspective. I'm glad to see this, as someone that has, uh, great interest in both countries, India and the US. It's interesting to see how Trump would impact both. So, yeah, this is something I got to keep note of. The Phillip Capital case study. I'll take a look at that here on my own time. But right now, what I want to do, of course, is read the comments. We always like to go through and read the comments, see what people are thinking about the video itself, see if they give a little bit of extra insight. So yeah, only point that hit the hardest: if you are incompetent engineer in India, life will be harder. Harsh reality, unfortunately. This is the kind of video we need. Script, edit, sound, engaging, value for time. Amazing. Putting 60% tariff on Chinese products doesn't sum up to increase in Indian exports because India is still unable to exploit the labor-intensive and skill-based manufacturing guild. The percentage of the workforce in India's manufacturing is still below 16%, whereas in Vietnam, Bangladesh, etc., it's 20%. Solution: we need to prepare and train millions of young workforce equipped with skills and deploy them in manufacturing ASAP. Well, here's the thing. Like, there's a issue with actually being able to find work and jobs in India, right? So pushing for this, paying them fairly, could be how you would do that, right? Think about numbers. Below 60% of India, overwhelmingly more than 20% of Bangladesh, Vietnam. Labor-intensive and skill-based manufacturing yield will be insignificant when the robotic workforce will put into place next 20 to 30 years, which is already happening in most places. Yeah. First of all, Trump is the U.S. president, so if he takes steps to increase employment in his country, then that is good for them. Just because it hurts our country doesn't mean he is bad. We should emphasize the economy rather than crying. Patriotism is good, but unnecessary jingoism is not good. Indian exports to USA is just 80 billion, whereas China exports 600 billion to USA. We can be proud, but we are nowhere near the competition to China, and we have a long way to go reach even a tiniest level of similarity in manufacturing economy system that China has in place now. Mind you, manufacturing is not IT. Computers and coders are not enough to get manufacturing done. Once a wise man said, "Don't be afraid of the Americans' enmity, be afraid of their friendship." Doesn't matter if Trump hates China or the U.S. clears anti-China policy. We were never able to take a leverage of such situations. Even in the past, every time such things happened, companies went to Vietnam, Indonesia, Bangladesh for that matter. Don't jump the gun, brother, with your predictive analytics. Geopolitics is very volatile, but let's hope for the best. Trump is one of a kind, but will he favor India? I don't think so. America first. Yeah, he's gonna favor America. I was gonna say he's he's gonna favor America. He's gonna do whatever it takes to make America better. Bro, intro editing feels like a movie with Dolby sound, next level. Sir, he said Jobs has to stay in America. How is it helpful for India? This is a big shock for IT companies. Yeah, it's true. Even though it's saddening that Indian pharma companies could lose out in America now, I am much happier that at least the people there will be able to get healthcare, which was needed since time immemorable. Okay. Thank you. I enjoyed the video, but I noticed a few assumptions that might not be accurate. Just because an industry in China faces losses doesn't necessarily mean an industry in India will gain. Other competitors worldwide are just as eager to capture the market share. For software engineers not given skilled professional with foreign work experience will stay in India for lower salaries. Many of them will still prefer opportunities abroad, especially in consumption is significantly higher elsewhere. If India industries grow increasingly reliant on American market, it could give U.S. government more leverage over India. The dependency might make India vulnerable in bilateral relations, with the U.S. potentially adopting a more dominant stance. Trump's policies tend to be pro-dollar and generally more lenient towards Russia compared to Democrats. The approach could hinder BRICS initiatives to establish alternative payment systems to counter the dollar, as each member country in BRICS will prioritize its own best interest. I think so. I just don't know. Like right now, like there's a big push for like the yuan, the big push for like the ruble and whatnot. But from what I've seen, it's just not feasible to have that be like the main currency. Sir, please make a video on progress of Maharashtra in the last 10 years, because in this month there is assembly election in Maharashtra, and when clear information about which party is best for Maharashtra economy in terms of all aspects like ease of doing business and all. Also give us information about why ease of doing business rank Maharashtra also low in BJP government. What? Okay. If it it is actually if France sneezes, the rest of Europe catches a cold. Chancellor Duke Clemens von Metternich from the case study of French Revolution 1789. Bro, H1B have historically been 65K plus, 20K regardless of who was in power. Having Elon support his political campaigns is highly unlikely President Trump will do anything that hurts EVs. Trump might indeed support EVs with subsidies as well. Removing EV subsidies actually helps Tesla. There's an article about foreign policy on it. Damn, this AI of YouTube is getting good. It recommended your video to me, and now I've finished and I liked it. Thank you for the insight, mate. Your editing style has changed a lot. It's very good. Your videos have become more cinematic. Okay. All right. Let's read some of the newer comments. I just want to see what some of the newer comments have to say on this. Audio clarity 11 out of 10. Do not degrade anybody, please. Your explanation is very good. What if the New World Order were forming at an alarming place? Russia plus China plus Iran plus North Korea. America will be looking for crutches. America days are over. Even other NATO countries are confused, ready to jump the wagon. Okay. So overall, Trump is bad for India? No, overall, Trump is good for India. Genius USA will move its manufacturing back to USA, and thanks to Modi for acting genius while on tax, USA companies with competition policies. Lol, dude. Messing with China, watch and see. Looks like the speaker has invested a lot of money on mentioned companies. America is still weak. Now press will depend on four big Indian relations. JD, Vivek, Tulsi, Rosh. I don't know who's Rosh. Who's Rosh? Who's Rash? JD Vance has an India relation because his wife is from India. Vivek, of course, is his family's from India. Tulsi, her mother's from India. I don't know who Rosh is. Make a video about gold. Why is the gold price falling for Trump's victory? I've not looked into gold prices. EV is going to work, petrol can't. Best Trump intro I've ever seen. Impact on China from US, nothing but on India. I want India have own app and date, not US. Government should focus on top IT students who are recruited by US. Let's talk about Indian rupees. Kamala didn't help India at all. RFK will deal with pharma. With your smog and break wouldn't hurt. With the largest population in the world, why not fix yourself? What? We don't want cheap Chinese goods. How deceitful to think to take China's goods, move them to India, then sell them. I will be boycotting Indian goods. What? Okay. Trump will block many Chinese products by high tariffs which will create a vacuum. If India is able to fill the void, then it will favor us otherwise. Don't cry when you can't manufacture and still dream of competing with China. It's like a kid not studying for entire years and dream about getting into unis like Ames or IITS. Okay, very good video. Thanks. Generally see your post informative, but brother, you are complete off base with this post. Is he? Your informations are incorrect. Starter Trump did not cap the insulin price to 35. Biden admin did, which is a fascination of Indians and Trump. I'm pretty certain it happened due to Trump's policy or Trump's. It didn't go into effect until Biden took over, but Trump started it. So, Stop feudalistic mindset in tech industry. Youngsters must start industries and grow up India. Many of the points are speculative. Time will tell. Well, yeah, of course, the whole video is speculative. We don't know. Did Modi brought all the black money in India? No, he is very expert in making us fool, waiting for next election. The video sounded more like your predictive analysis rather than a case study. Okay. It is not the election. What happens after will be shaping the history. Trump is Modi of USA. Will it affect violence in Manipur and end the geopolitics of Manipur? I don't think any of this will affect anything in Manipur, unfortunately. Meanwhile, India, but we want China. Our entire consumer electronic market is dependent on China. Is that true? U.S. giving India another chance at all the best to India. The U.S. isn't giving India another chance. It's just creating an opportunity. The loans are already expensive. I don't think Trump will increase that, and he won't cut EV subsidies due to Elon. Yeah, him and Elon Musk has literally become his right-hand man. Ever since Trump won the election, Elon Musk has been like with him. Like he's gone with Trump. He's taken family photos with Trump. He's invited Trump to like witness, the SpaceX launches going off. They've been seen together at like UFC. They've been seen together on planes, like eating McDonald's together. He's like become inseparable from Trump ever since Trump won the election. So, yeah. I think that's gonna be it. Thank you for watching, everybody. Remember to go and check out the video in the link down below. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Catch you on the next one. Take care. Goodbye.